What's up, Wolverines? I'm Alfredo Diaz.
And I'm Adrian Fraga, and welcome to Fantasy Football 101.
This week's special guest host is Jake Camejo, and Jake, we're happy to have you on once again.
Thank you for guys having me. Thanks for having me again, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, you're the first repeat host, so I would take it as an honor and not the lack of availability of other people. But, Fraga, last week, we actually had the first somewhat of a tie between us two, so therefore we will settle the crown the only civilized way.
All right.
Fredo wins it.
I am the crown champion once again. This is my third crown to your one, and Carmona's once. But let's move right into our pickups of the week. So, Jake, who are you picking up off the waiver wire?
My pickup of the week is Ricky Seals-Jones. It's not really a guy who will change your lineup. It's more of a depth guy because until Logan Thomas comes back, he's going to get a lot of targets. And even though he plays Denver this week, he's a vital part of that offense now that Logan Thomas is out for a few more weeks with that hamstring injury. So I see he's going to get 6-7 targets a game, which is pretty important. And I think he's going to have a pretty good week.
Yeah, I mean, he's been having a good couple weeks since Logan Thomas has been placed on IR. Taylor Heineke, it looks like they've been having to pass a decent amount. The run game hasn't been as consistent as we'd like it to be, so probably a good pickup as probably the number 2 option in the passing game there in Washington.
Definitely getting a surprising amount of targets per game. Here's the hoping that he can make do with those targets.
Yeah, hopefully.
And Fargo, who are you picking up off the waiver wire this week?
Well, this tactic didn't exactly work out for me when it comes to the crown last week, but I'm doing it again. I'm taking a gamble. Pick up Deshaun Watson. Trade talks right now for Deshaun are crazy. Like, there's a lot of rumors, specifically to Miami. I kind of hope not. But there's a lot of rumors going around that Deshaun Watson is on the block and he will be traded by the end of the deadline. The deadline is November 2nd, next Tuesday. So we can really see a deal happen to some quarterback-needy team. We've seen talks with the Panthers are interested somewhat. The Dolphins, for whatever, they're interested. And I think teams are going to continue to be interested. He's only rostering 16% of leagues, and this is a potential league winner, assuming he's not suspended.
We have to remember that Deshaun Watson was a fantasy QB1 all year last year, the year before too. It's a guy whose talent on the field and his production matches it. Again, the only issues, the legal issues that he currently has, but keeping him on your bench as your QB2 or QB3 is probably a good move to try to bolster your success later in the year.
Yeah, there's no doubt that he's a good quarterback. He's one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL when he's on the field. But until we get that affirmation that he's actually going to play this year, it's kind of risky pickup, like you said.
Absolutely. My waiver wire pickup of the week is actually going to be Kenneth Gainwell, who we've talked about 2 episodes in a row, but now he finally got his first chance to really shine because of Miles Sanders' injury. Now, we're hearing that Miles Sanders' injury is only going to be for a couple of weeks. He's most likely not going to be placed on IR, but Kenneth Gainwell could be a good couple weeks for an RB2. He plays at Detroit this week, in which a bad team, the Eagles, might actually be running out the game. Kenneth Gainwell had 4 catches for 41 yards and a touchdown, so with the receiving production is on par from what we like to see from guys who are legit running back 2s, and I think that it's a safe pickup in all your leagues.
Yeah, especially if that RB1 Miles Sanders is going to be out for a few weeks. This guy can fill in the production, or at least attempt to, which these past few games he's been playing pretty well, and he's getting a lot of targets in the air, which is pretty important as a running back position.
We've seen it already this year that Kenneth Gainwell is a very versatile running back, and I think these next few weeks are now his chance to really show that he's capable, and he'll basically be getting a bigger involvement in the offense is what I think is bound to happen from these next few weeks.
Absolutely. And we saw Miles Sanders wasn't getting that many carries, but now imagine that if that split was about 70-30 for Miles Sanders, I would imagine the split now to be about 80-20 actually for Gainwell, because I think that they favor him over Boston Scott, especially in the passing game. They were using him a lot more in the final drives of the game when they were trying to get extra yards and points to make the game score a little bit more manageable.
Excuse me, I thought you were talking about when Miles Sanders returns. But yeah, absolutely. Boston Scott, he's likable guy. Very likable, but Kenneth Gainwell's going to step in.
He's probably a good RB3 in the NFL, but as an RB2, he's a little bit iffy. Jake, who's your start of the week?
I know some people might think this is biased because I'm a Saints fan, but my start of the week is Jameis Winston. As we all know, he plays the Buccaneers, who could be missing Richard Sherman and Levante David, Levante David is one of the best linebackers in the NFL, so that's going to be a big key part missing of a tough Bucs defense. He also is getting a lot of guys back on offense. Eric McCoy, center. O-line play will be better. Teron Armstead, all-pro tackle. Traquan Smith, our receiver 2 in the NFL. He's a solid option. And then I think Jameis is a good quarterback in the NFL, and he also hasn't been turning the ball that over. And you guys can laugh, but he only has a 13-3 touchdown to interception ratio. And also, we can't forget about Alvin Kamara, one of the greatest players in for fantasy football this year.
Absolutely. I think that Jameis Winston is actually going to be a guy who's surprisingly taking care of the football. Last year, the year before, he had that 30 interception season, and he also had a handful of fumbles to go with it. He's been surprisingly cautious this year. That Saints offense could be high-flying. They did just have a little bit of a dud game, but I think that he could be a solid bye-week fill-in.
Definitely a risky play, but hey, I'm a gambling man, So I can definitely see a cute little revenge game incoming for Jameis Winston, maybe.
Could be, and it could be a high-scoring one with Tom Brady potentially putting up a lot of points on the Saints. So, Fargo, who are you starting this week across all your formats?
My start is T. Higgins. What a fun name. T. Higgins plays the Jets. Not a very good passing defense, although they are ranked
Number three
in
points allowed to wide
points
receivers.
allowed to wide receivers, solely because teams just run out the clock with the Jets because the Jets are a joke. Anyways, Jamar Chase just had a huge, massive game. We all know this. 200 yards, a touchdown, 34 fantasy points. Teams are going to focus on him a lot more, which will leave T. Higgins, the number 2 option on the Bengals, more open throughout the field. T. Higgins had, guess how many targets last week? Guess.
12.
Double digit?
Yeah. He had 15 targets. That's a lot. And especially if teams are going to start focusing on Jamar Chases now, I think T. Higgins can go under the radar and really deliver this week.
Yeah, it's a good one, babies. So imagine T. Higgins, not D. Wiggins, the former Canes wide receiver, for all our Canes fans watching. Bengals offense has been high-flying. They're the number 1 seed in the AFC, and there's no reason for it to stop this week against the low Jets.
Any team against the Jets, you're going to have a few starts against. But also, Joe Burrow has been playing pretty well this year. And also, last time I was on the show, I said to start another Bengals receiver, Tyler Boyd, and he ended up with 20 points. That was when T. Higgins was hurt. But now that T's back, he's already going to get a ton of targets. He's going to get open as the Jets' defense isn't that good. And then Jamar Chase is also going to play good. So I think all these Bengals receivers are going to get a lot of targets this week.
Yeah, and if possible, I would be trying to buy low on T. Higgins and trying to sell high on Tyler Boyd. I think that the target distribution is going to continue to go in favor of T. Higgins. But I'm sticking with wide receivers for my start of the week, which is going to be Michael Pittman Jr. Michael Pittman's a second-year guy at USC. He's had a monster season so far, and he is a menacing physical prospect. He's 6'3", and he goes up and he gets it. We saw against the Niners how he was able to moss a DB in the end zone for a touchdown at the end of the game. He has over 100 yards in his last game with 2 touchdowns in his last 3. His target share has been a little bit iffy, but with T.Y. Hilton potentially still out against a terrible Tennessee defense, I like Michael Pittman this week.
Michael Pittman. When you see a matchup like the Tennessee Titans, for wide receivers, that is, it just makes your mouth drool. It is such an attractive matchup that you have to automatically set that guy to your starting lineup, I think. And Michael Pittman is a guy who has been pretty consistent as of recent and can really build on that and really have a breakout game this week.
Yeah, especially with Carson Wentz. It turns out that Carson Wentz has been playing some pretty good football in the past few weeks, and now that he's back from that 2 ankle injuries. But it's good to see that this Colts offense is back on its feet, and Michael Pittman Jr. is for sure going to get a few targets, obviously with Carson Wentz, and then he's also a good playmaker down the field. He can make a few guys miss down the field as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a big part of their success. Michael Pittman, again, playing against the Titans. Mind you that the Titans' pass defense was pretty bad, and then they lost Caleb Farley last week to a torn ACL. He's out for the rest of the year, so a bad defense just got a little bit worse. Michael Pittman, safe start in all your leagues, and I'm betting 20+, so we'll see. Hopefully he wins me the crown. But, Jake, who are you sitting this week across formats?
My sit of the week is a Buccaneers receiver.
Okay, Saints fan.
Yeah, a little biased, but Mike Evans. Mike Evans has the past 4 games against the Saints. Let me look at these stats. 6 catches, 69 yards, and 1 touchdown.
In 4 games.
In 4 games. And and only one of those games he has more than 2 receptions. Now, in one game, those stats would be pretty good, but in a 4-game stretch, that's terrible, especially for a wide receiver 1 who's one of the top receivers in the NFL. So he's going against Marshawn Lattimore, who has been locking him down these past few matchups, and I don't think that trend's going to stop because I'm a Saints fan, obviously, and I have some bias, but Marshawn Lattimore is a top cornerback in the NFL, top 10, top 15, so I think he's going to have a bad game against the Saints. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, it's reasonable.
So it's a risky pick. Sometimes receivers tend to buck the trend, and I don't know. I'm not one for sitting Mike Evans, especially because he's been so good this year. Tom Brady is the best quarterback in the NFL. It's tough, but history shows that benching him wouldn't be terrible.
Yeah. So,
Frago, who are you sitting this week?
My sit of the week is a guy who I've mentioned before. He was a past start of the week for me, and is a guy that I have been generally a fan of, but this week is a big no-no. Brandon Cooks plays against the Rams, and Brandon Cooks is the wide receiver 1 on the Texans, like absolutely without a doubt, but he's either going to be lined up on the outside against a little guy named Jalen Ramsey, or he's going to be in the slot against Darius Williams, 2 very skillful corners who could really just
really slow him down.
Exactly, just slow him down and really give it to him if you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Now-
Jalen Ramsey's going to be really physical with him on the outside, and I think Brandon Cooks, as a smaller receiver, could have some difficulties breaking that tough press that the Rams like so much, and he might be shadowed the entire game by Jalen Ramsey, so it's a tough matchup. Obviously, rookie quarterback, Aaron Donald, stuff that you don't like to see
Exactly.
if you're a Texans
I was gonna
fan.
say that O-line, Texans, the O-line, it's not good. And when you have Aaron Donald on that D-line, that's not good for the other team. So Aaron Donald's gonna get a lot of pressures, I expect, this week, which will really, especially for a guy like Davis Mills, who wasn't, I'm sure, expecting a start this year, it's gonna really get to his head.
Yeah, I mean, if you're that Texans team, it's almost as if you would really want to trade at least a couple first-round picks to try to make your O-line better, but they obviously haven't done anything like that in the past couple of years because it's still pretty bad. They might be tanking once again. But my sit of the week is actually going to be probably the most controversial one that I've picked all year. This is a guy who's averaging 20 points per game. My sit of the week is Mike Williams.
That's crazy.
Watch, but listen to me here. The New England Patriots' specialty is to take away the opposing team's best weapon. As of right now, I think that's Mike Williams. We saw that Baltimore just showed a game plan on how to stop him. He was held to 5 targets and 4.7 points at the Ravens in his last game. Off the bye week, I think that the Patriots are going to be able to hold him and make Justin Herbert go another way on offense.
I mean, I just think there's too many options for the Patriots to focus on one guy. Austin Eckler, there's Jared Cook, Keenan Allen. I mean, I think Mike Evans is gonna have. I mean, sorry, not Mike Evans. Mike Williams is gonna have a great week, a bounce back week since that Baltimore game.
It's definitely, obviously, with fantasy football, the realm of boom or bust is very relevant, and it's definitely something that could happen. But when you have a guy that's been doing as good as Mike Williams has, it's extremely risky to sit him. Extremely. And that Patriots secondary is beat up now with, I believe it was Jonathan Jones who's out for the year. So,
Well, Fraga, you know what I've won all my fantasy leagues on, besides stats and actually looking forward to future production? Gut feeling. And my gut feeling's telling me that Mike Williams is not going to have a good week against the Patriots. And I might be completely wrong, but I'll stand by it. So, anything else before we get into week 8 now? Week 8?
I'm no longer a Dolphins fan.
That's nice.
That's such a sad sight to see.
Jake, as a Saints fan, you're proud, I'm assuming.
Yep. I mean, hopefully.
Yeah, putting up 13 points on the league's worst defense. But we'll catch you guys next time on the waiver wire. So thank you guys for joining us.